Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Newsroom. I'm Chella Smith. This is your Middle East U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I air on Fridays. I bring you the latest on reforms and economics of Iraq based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. I do this weekly review, and it's based off my interests. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Last week, we talked about the banks, JP Morgan, exchange rates, digital payments, the banking sector, the budget, and the elections. Let's take a look at this week's headlines. Good afternoon. The Iraqi dinar is being floated as a solution to address the volatile prices against the dollar. The stability of the Iraqi dinar has been a challenge for years due to price fluctuation and gaps between the central bank's determination and parallel markets. Some experts suggest a surgical operation of countries' monetary systems to achieve long-term monetary stability through a float. The central bank cash sales price is 1305 dinars per dollar, while remittance abroad are 1310 dinars against the dollar. The parallel markets is about 1450 dinars against the dollar in mid-May. Iraqi authorities have imposed restrictions to control the exchange rate, limit commercial transactions, and implement a new mechanism subject to external remittance scrutiny. Some Iraqi economic analysts warn against making a decision that leads to a float of the dinar, while others believe that a mandate policy can be taken that the Iraqi economy based on float and stabilization simultaneously. Iraq's central bank has criticized for floating the Iraqi dinar exchange rate, causing concerns about inflation and the country's economy. Councillor Saleh warns that the policy is belated and that the central government supplies of foreign currency will not achieve the desired equilibrium points. He warns that exchange rates move in an incomplete market will lead to a wave of inflationary expectations, which may prompt monetary policymakers to intervene with a superior foreign reserves and an unjustified waste in foreign currency. The World Bank reports that Iraq has 145 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, but hopes to exceed 160 billion barrels. Professors of International Economic Relations Abdul Rahman Al-Mashhanani argues that the Central Bank of Iraq cannot continue to float the dinar exchange rate as it cannot continue to control the markets. He also warns that the final flotation will achieve the desired monetary stability, as the central bank will need to print more local currency and increase salaries and allocations for social acceptance packages. Saleh explains the gap in the dinar-dollar exchange rate between the official markets and parallel markets due to external factors. Iraq has the highest foreign currency reserves in history, covering imports of 16 months. Dollar remittance has increased in Iraq due to the financial sector reforms. The SWIFT electronic transfer system was adopted in late 2022 to control the dollar used, comply with U.S. sanctions, and limit informal economy prosperities. However, Saleh notes distortion in price support for some commodities due to fiscal policy. He warns that 90% of Iraq's population may not receive support for state foodstuff due to changes living standards and growing middle classes. And let us know if you support this float, and if not, why, in the comment section below. Next, the Monetary Fund reports an improvement in external stability since the new government took office in October 2022. International Monetary Fund, the IMF, has approved the staff's assessment of Iraq's financial situation, highlighting the country's strong economic recovery, low inflation, and improved local conditions. The board approved the implementation of the first ever 3-year budget, praised the central bank's efforts to tighten monetary policy, and emphasized the need for better coordination between financial and monetary operations. The board also emphasized the importance of accelerating the restructuring of large state-owned banks, improving governance and anti-corruption, and strengthening the anti-money laundering and terrorist finance framework. The board also welcomed renewed effort towards the WTO extension and create a policy coordination tool. The next Article 4 consultations were of Iraq and are expected to occur in the standard 12-month session. Speaking about the IMF, Iraq has fully repaid the International Monetary Fund loans to the country since 2003, with a total not exceeding $8 billion. The loans were aimed at supporting microeconomic stability and implementation of financial reforms. The loans were partially repaid in full within a 5-year, within the remaining amount aimed at government reforms and economic crises. If you want to hear more about these articles, you can always follow us on Patreon. And Pulasheret has provided its final briefing on Iraq. The head of United Nations mission in Iraq, Janine Pulasheret, was set to give her final briefing at the United Nations Security Council meeting held yesterday, May 16th, and will leave Iraq permanently to conclude her mission since January 2018. The mission will close at the request of an Iraqis, focusing on elections, political affairs, and human rights. During her last statement, United Nations Security General Janine Pulasheret reports progress in Iraq's political, security, and economic files, but acknowledges failures. She urges the elections of the new president and addresses political stagnation in the Ayla and Kirkuk governorates. She also emphasizes the fight against ISIS. And moving right along, Ali Al-Awlaq has declared the success of its electronic transfer platform in combating money laundering. Governor Ali Al-Awlaq of the Central Bank of Iraq has announced the successful use of the electronic external transfer platform in combating money laundering during his speech at the Arab Forum of Anti-Corruption Authorities and Financial Investigation Unit in Saudi Arabia. The application of ASYCUDA, ASYCUDA, electronic automated system is being implemented in the central and middle part of Khazar. The General Authority of Customs in Iraq has started implementing the electronic automated system ASYCUDA at the middle and south port of Khazar and the center of Kamrik Safran. The system aims to unify custom procedure, providing accurate statistical reports and imported and exported goods, and implement custom decisions. And the National Bank of Iraq has been awarded a strong credit rating by Capital Intelligence. Capital Intelligence has affirmed that the National Bank of Iraq's credit rating for long-term and short-term foreign currency, maintaining a basic financial strength rating of BB with a stable outlook. The rating reflects the bank's strong financial position, trust among customers and investors, and a commitment to improving banking services. And a government meeting is scheduled to review the 2024 budget schedule. The Minister of Planning, Mohammed Al-Tamim, chaired a meeting to review the federal budget schedule for 2024. The meeting was attended by various ministers, including the oil minister, construction minister, the electricity minister, and the head of the Office of Financial Supervision. The meeting also discussed the transfers of provincial government allocations, particularly regarding employees' compensation, social welfare, and regional government revenues, and the transfer of these to the federal government. Tamim also discussed the maximum of revenues to reduce the deficit in the general budget for finding legal text to exclude electricity sales and local oil sales as revenues. Iraq has increased its gold reserves to surpass 145 tons. Iraq's gold reserve increased by 3.079 tons in February 2024, reaching 145.661 tons, according to the IMF data. This indicates Iraq's strategy to diversify its foreign reserves and promote long-term financial and monetary stability. Gold is a traditional safe haven for investors, especially during the economic and geopolitical uncertainty. The move comes as gold prices reach their highest levels in history, above $2,400 an ounce. Iraq ranks fourth in the Arab region with the gold reserves after Saudi Arabia, Algeria, and Morocco. The increase is a positive indicator of health and strength of Iraq's economy. Iraq has signed a memorandum of understanding with U.S. company to provide support to the energy sector. Iraq has signed the memorandum of understanding with U.S. company Honeywell to support the country's energy sector. The agreement allows Honeywell to explore strategic cooperation in Iraq's oil and gas field, including gas production and development services. The agreement aims to enhance reliability and sustainability in the energy sector for Iraqis. And lastly, the Association of Private Banks is expressing support for the Iraqi Central Bank initiative to establish digital banks. The executive director of the Association of Iraqi Private Banks, Ali Tariq, has praised the central bank's direction in establishing digital banks to keep pace with global banking sector development. Tariq stated that the Iraq has started its first steps in establishing digital banks, with one licensed digital bank already operating within the country. The central bank issued instructions for licensing banks, limiting their number to 10% of total bank operations within the country, with a capital of 100 billion dinars, provided traditional banks participate by 30%. Digital bank differs from traditional banks in that they do not have branches and primarily operate via mobile. Very, very interesting. What's your thoughts on the digital banking and the internet banks? You've been watching Newsroom Weekly Review. I'm Chella Smith with your Middle East, U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics of Iraq. I bring you the latest in our news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. I'm here on YouTube every Friday, so don't forget to subscribe and turn those notification bells on. If you like my content, you can give me a thumbs up. If you really like my content, you can always seed a super chat or a super thanks in the comment section below. Well, spring is officially here. Mother's Day has passed. I hope everyone had a happy Mother's Day. I certainly did. And I will let you know that my garden is officially planted and it's up and going. I'm so excited. I hope everybody else has a good start. Again, thank you for being a subscriber and thank you for visiting Newsroom Chella Smith for your trusted Dinar News. I'll see you guys next week. Take care. Make sure you join us Fridays, 4 p.m. with Newsroom Updates with Chella Smith Entertainment News.